You were talking before a little bit about the desert parties, and they've been described as these mystical events, so to speak, with Yawning Man pretty much being the house band. I think they've been raised at a higher pedestal than what they actually were. What's your take on something like that?
Sure. I mean, anytime someone does an interview like we're doing now, they recall very fondly on these parties and events that happened, and through writers and press, phrases are adopted and repeated, and obviously everything's romanticized a bit. Absolutely romanticized, but having said that, looking back on those experiences, now that I live in Los Angeles and realizing what we had going, and combined with obviously the energy of our youth and the newness of bringing live music to an area that had no venues, you're forced out there. It was a pretty amazing thing, and looking back at it now, as romanticized as it's been through the press in Europe and through the popularity of Caius and the Queens of the Stone Age and all that stuff, there's still really a real nugget of truth to how really bitchin' that was. And I still run into people, either skateboarders or guys my age, that were coming out from Orange County or Los Angeles back when we were doing shows out at this pool in the middle of the desert called the Nude Bowl, and they still recall really fondly on how unique and amazing those experiences were. It kind of reaffirms, wow, it was something pretty special that was going on there. But that being said, every outback town's got its place, whether it's the quarry or the lookout point or out in the woods or whatever, where people go and they do their thing, where no one's going to screw with them, And I'm sure everybody's got fond reflections of those places. A lot of people came to those things, and they went all night long, and some incredible music was played, and it was pretty interesting. But absolutely, it's been romanticized quite a bit in press about that stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of the great music, during that whole era when Yawning Man was together, way back when, you put together a couple demos, and nothing really came of them. Some of them came through with covers, like Catamaran or Deaf Conductor by Fatso. And there was supposed to be some sort of box set a couple years ago, Birth of Soul Music.
Yes.
Whatever happened to that?
That's I really don't have a clear answer for that. All I know is that the music basically is been compiled. That music sat in my cousin's sock drawer for years and years, and we just kept going. By the time we had that stuff, when we recorded that stuff, we weren't thinking about making records. We weren't thinking about we got to release this and get it out and go and tour. And but we again back to the careerist thing. We were just creating and going and making music and going along, and the stuff sat there, and then we changed the name of the band to the Story Quartet, and we started recording more music, and it just so happened that once that took hold, we were in more of a position to organize the recording and get it out on a disc, and that band ended up releasing proper CD recordings. But the Yawning Man stuff is still there, and it's on iTunes, and it will probably be released someday. But we're all in the middle of doing other things, and it just kind of, we pick up steam with it, and then it loses steam, and it's not a priority right now. We're kind of like in the moment with the music and trying to keep other things going that we're doing right now, But it's dear to us, and we want to do something with it someday. I don't really have an answer for that.
One more question about Yawning Man. Getting together again in 2004, 2005 to do rock formations, what spawned that? What made you want to get back together to make that album?
We actually didn't get together to make the album. What was happening was we just kind of organically started jamming again, and we're working on music and got it pieced together. We were playing a few shows live, and then an opportunity came up with a Spanish label, I believe Lone Records was the label that had shown interest in possibly releasing something, and that's we put the recording together because of that opportunity. But we had just gravitated back together and started playing again, So it was more of an organic thing. It wasn't like, well, we need to reform and make a record. It was just kind of a natural thing that happened. Did
that music differ? The style of music differ from what you did 20 years prior?
No, not really. Not much. I would say, maybe our playing had come a bit, but the relationship that me and Gary and Alfredo have with the bass and the guitar and the drums it's just always going right back to 87. It just the same kind of chemistry that we have, the interplay and the interplay melodies mixed with improvisation, and Gary had come quite a ways with his style of guitar playing, his finger picking style with
it's very unique.
With reverb and delay and things like that. Whereas back in Young Man, it was a lot more really basic and stripped down. But no, it was just kind of it was always there. With the Sort of Quartet, I think we were really making an effort to experiment with. We were influenced by jazz and as I mentioned before, Latin jazz and we were listening to a lot of different stuff and really trying to embrace it all. And Yawning Man just falls back to us in the garage, just jamming, and it's just a very organic thing for us. It's just very natural,